Okay, hi everyone, welcome back. And in today's update, we are going to check out Litecoin's price chart. And if you remember, the last time that we talked about LTC, we were right in here, and the idea was that, well, okay, we do have a 5 wave in here, and this is definitely an optimistic sign Elliott wave wise. But we talked about two important points. Number one, if you remember, came down to the fact that this move on the downside, the prior move before this beautiful impulse up, looked a bit like an ABC. So we were like, well, okay, let's consider the possibility of having maybe an ABC flat, which suggests in Litecoin our move down is actually going to continue, and that's why we need to be a bit careful. Also, we said when we were around, I think, these areas, this move down is actually happening at quite a bit of a rapid pace, and that's why we were a little bit skeptic about whether this is actually going to be a correction or not. Why? Because one very important characteristic of a correction, if you remember, is that we're gonna have a very slow and choppy move on the downside, and this right in here, as you can see, definitely was not one of those. So that's why we said, look, first things first, in LTC, let's count on a move down in order to get to this level and fill this important gap that was created as a result of this important move up happening a bit too fast, and then we are probably going to get a bit of a bounce, and the shape of that bounce is really important, and it's going to determine what might be next in Litecoin and whether the low is in or not. And we specifically said, if we're gonna have a slow bounce, be careful. Odds are at that point maybe this whole move is a correction structure and our move down is going to continue. And unfortunately, as you can see, that bearish scenario played out. Ultimately, we said, look, if you do not want to be involved in any kind of short-term price action, just be patient and see, are we going to confirm this beautiful possible head and shoulder structure? And by confirming it, if you are a regular viewer of the channel, you know what I mean. We said, let's be a bit patient and see, are we going to get a break of the next line? And by that, we mean we go above it, do a pullback, and then get a continuation of the move up in order to take the highs. And as you can see, again, unfortunately, we did not do that. And recently in Litecoin, we went down and took this important low right in here about, let's say, $74.7. Now, why is this important? Does this mean that in LTC, we are going to witness some great strong moves on the downside? Right now, I'll be honest with you, I don't really see a whole lot of signs indicating such a scenario might be in play. However, there's actually another reason for why I think taking this low is not necessarily optimistic. You see, if you want to argue that we're gonna have our final low around this area, maybe this is an important region, maybe like a decent support region, then okay, off of the lowest low in here, you have to be able to find, you know what, a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 up. This specific scenario is called an impulse. Rules for it are, we should not have overlapping of the waves between our wave 2 and 4, and in any kind of 5 wave, our wave 3 should not be the smallest wave, and in terms of the sub waves, you know it, we're gonna have 5 wave up into wave 1, 3 and 5, and for wave 2 and 4 we can consider different counts. Let's say, sure, in this example, WXY into 4 and maybe an ABC structure into wave 2. Now, after completing this impulse off of the lows, you're gonna have a pullback down even according to the most bullish case, and according to the most bullish scenario, this is going to be a correction structure, which, according to what we said earlier, one very important characteristic of it is actually being quite slow and choppy. Bottom line is this: having this impulse up followed by this correction down, even if you want to go according to the most bullish case, it's just going to take some time. And on net in here, the price is not really going to go anywhere. It's actually the phase after this scenario that will give you some great moves on the upside. Why is that? Because on a higher degree, essentially, this is going to be a wave 1 correction for wave 2, and then big move up into wave 3, 4, 5. And in terms of Elias waves, we argue in most cases wave 3 is actually going to be quite a strong and sharp move on the upside. And this, my friends, is why in Litecoin taking this important low is not really optimistic, because even if you want to argue that in here we are going to have our final low, then okay, you just have to be a bit more patient and see, are we going to end up having 5 wave up followed by a correction down? And this thing might take, I would say, somewhere between 4 to 6 weeks. Now, Here's actually a bit of a good news for you. Overall, in Litecoin, in my view, downsides are actually quite limited as long as if I just go on H4 time frame, we are not taking this important slowdown here about $63. Why is that? Because you see, in LTC, in my view, this is actually a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wave up, followed by that. I do think we are having in this region, hopefully, a bit of a correction structure on the downside, suggesting what? The next move, I'm really hoping that is going to be, you know it, another 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, in order to, I would say, for the first target, at least get to about the higher band of this important channel. And we are going to go on daily time frame in a minute, and I'm going to show you this channel. But for now, just know this, the higher band of this channel, I think by the time that we are going to get there, is going to be somewhere around $185, $190, which from the current point, it's about, let's say, like a 150, 160% move on the upside, which I would say is definitely not that bad. But I'll be honest with you, Litecoin is actually great for trading and maybe not necessarily good for investing. Why is that? Because if you want to invest in Litecoin, then okay, your targets, what's going to be like the maximum one? Let's consider the all-time high somewhere around $400. Well, okay, from this point to about the all-time high, we are looking at about, let's say, like a 5.5x move on the upside, which, like, do not get me wrong, is definitely not that bad. However, when you compare it to some other altcoins, the story actually gets a little bit complicated. For example, where is the all-time high in Avalanche? It's actually somewhere around $150. And where's the price right now? About $10. Meaning what? From here to about the all-time high in AVAX, we are looking at about a 15x move on the upside. And it's not just Avalanche. No, you can also take a look at Near Protocol's price chart as well. Let's go on this thing, maybe hide everything and go on weekly time frame. Excuse me, where is the all-time high? As you can see, it's actually about $20, and right now we are about $1.50. So again, from this point going up and taking the all-time high is equal to about, let's say, like a 13x move on the upside. And again, that is like much more than what Litecoin has to offer. So again, for investment, maybe this is not necessarily good. However, for trading, it does have actually some great structures. And overall, I would say this is what we call like a very well behavior chart. And your risk to reward ratios in your trades, in most cases, I would say in LTC, are actually going to be very good. And also, if you want to trade Litecoin, I think you are going to win a whole lot more as opposed to trading some other random altcoins. So again, for trading, this is great. For investing, maybe be a bit patient and see, are we going to, I don't know, maybe get like a great move on the downside in order to visit the lows in here about $40, $50. If we get there, yeah, trust me, I am buying the dip a lot in LTC, because at that point, okay, to about the all-time high, we are looking at about like a 9x move on the upside. And well, I can definitely justify buying Litecoin at that point. So does a lot of other investors. So again, right around these areas, trust me, a lot of people are going to buy LTC. But right now, I'm not really sure about that. Now, let's talk about this important channel as well, and then wrap up today's update. You see, at the moment in LTC, starting from the lows about, let's say, $41 back in June of 2022, we have been in a beautiful ascending channel. And the way that we moved is essentially like this. You see, we basically go and visit the higher band of the channel, get a rejection, temporary pullback, followed by another rejection, and then we visit the lower band of the channel. And what happens next? We go up, and then, as you can see, rejection, followed by a temporary pullback, and then another move down in order to visit the lower band of the channel. And what might be next? I'm gonna say hopefully by the end of this cycle, again, yet another move on the upside in order to visit the higher band of the channel about $180, $190. Now, the funny thing is that, sure, you can say the lower band of our channel is in here, but I think if you want to be maybe like a little bit more flexible and ignore some shadows, your lower band of the channel can be right in here. There we go. As you can see, how many touches do we have? Like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So again, this I think is like a much more valid lower band of the channel. And if I just zoom in more, where are we right now? We are literally around this important area, and I'm really hoping that this is going to act as a support region, and before getting a break of it, we get a magnificent move. On the other hand, if we end up getting a break of it, and by that, again, you know it, we go down, do a pullback, then continuation of the move down. At that point, maybe count on something like this in order to visit the lows in here once more, about $43, maybe even take them. But then again, we can have a massive bounce, and this right in here is going to be a great long-term buying opportunity. But for now, again, since we are still within this beautiful ascending channel, I think we should be a bit more optimistic as opposed to pessimistic. Now, let's go on weekly chart and see what is going on in here, and then we're gonna wrap up today's update. So as you can see, in MACD we are having a sell signal. In stock RSI also the same, but pay attention, in stock RSI, yes, we are basically as oversold as it gets. So I guess this can be an optimistic sign suggesting bears are running out of steam. But you know what, just be a little bit more patient and see, are we going to get, I don't know, maybe like 2 or preferably actually 3 green candlesticks. At that point, we're going to have a buy signal in here, and that definitely can be a very good sign for us, indicating hopefully the bottom is in. If we are going to have also maybe in some lower time frames a 5-wave up followed by a correction down, that would also be a beautiful cherry on top. But for now, again, let's just be a bit patient according to what indicators are telling us in weekly charts. What's happening in daily time frame though? Okay, the story in here is a little bit different, but overall I would say the same, because in here we are having a buy signal in stock RSI, but a sell signal in MACD. So what should we do? For one very important reason, I would argue you need to be a bit patient and see, are we going to also get a daily buy signal in MACD as well? Because if we get it, I think at that point you can count on some good moves up in LTC. Why is that? Because let's just do this. Okay, pay attention to what is going on the live chart. In daily time frame, we are having a low. The other one is a lower low. But in MACD, what do you have? Let's just do this. Okay, this, as you can see, is clearly a low. The other one is trying to, again, not confirmed yet, but it is definitely trying to be a higher low. Meaning what? I think this can be a beautiful bullish divergence, but it's not necessarily confirmed yet. That, my friends, is why I'm telling you, you know what, let's just be a little bit more patient and see, are we going to get a buy signal in MACD in here or not? If we get it, I think you could actually interpret that as a beautiful confirmation of this great looking bullish divergence, which hopefully at that point is going to send us up. So overall, as my conclusion, I think your ultimate signal is going to be this important bullish divergence in MACD in daily time frame. So you know what, just be a bit patient and see, are we going to get in here a buy signal or not? If we get it, great sign, we're going to go up. And also the fact that at the same time we are around the lower band of this beautiful ascending channel, I guess can be yet another optimistic sign, indicating hopefully we are quite close to the end of our move down in LTC. And again, overall, as long as we are not going down, and number one, we are not getting a break of this channel, and also number two, we are not taking this important slope down here about $62.5, I think we can say the bullish scenario is going to be very much intact, suggesting in LTC in the next phase we are going to witness a good move up in order to get to bare minimum, I'm gonna say, the higher band of this channel, about $180. And if at that point maybe we're gonna go up, do a pullback, and then get a continuation, okay, the story at that point is going to be, trust me, like way different. We are going to maybe even visit the all-time high, about $400. But for now, you know what, let's not talk about those numbers. Let's just take everything step by step and see where are we going to go from the current point. And when we get there, we are going to make new updates and talk about it. Trust me, we got a lot of time to get there. And I hope I explained everything well and you understood what is going on in Litecoin's price chart. And until the next update, I hope you have a wonderful time with your family and loved ones. Goodbye.